And for more on the military talks between the U.S. and the Republic of Korea, I'm joined in the studio by Raymond Tanter. He's a professor of political science and a former member of the national security team in the Reagan-Bush White House. Thanks so much for joining us. Welcome back to the show.
It's my pleasure, Elaine.
First of all, I want to get your reaction to this 5-year delay of this handover. Are you surprised by that at all?
Well, Elaine, not only are the Pentagon talks going to come about, they've come about already, but there will be the 2+2 talks in Seoul between on one hand, the United States Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, and their South Korean counterparts. These are prelude to the resumption of, as you mentioned, the six-party talks. What North Korea wants is simple. They want legitimization of their regime. That regime is torn asunder between the Kim dynasty, which is fading, and the professional military, which is growing in its influence within the country, it seems. So the United States will not give the bonus of attacks against along the border of having Secretary Kerry go to Pyongyang. He will be a part of the six-party talks in which there will be this umbrella around the North Korean state.
And I want to get to that in just a minute. I certainly have more to ask you regarding the DPRK. But with these talks between the United States and the ROK and these military agreements, shouldn't other countries in the region be concerned about this? Or what do you think the reaction will be? It could look like to others that this is just another way that the U.S. wants to maintain control on the Korean Peninsula.
Well, the six-party talks are going to go on right after the 2+2 talks in Seoul. So the other countries are in effect represented by South Korea. But remember, you have Russia and China involved in the six-party talks. So I don't think it would be wise to bring in too many other countries on this one.
Do you think tensions on the Korean Peninsula have gone down, diffused in recent years? You know, there's been this changeover, obviously, in leadership, but there was this visit not that long ago, several days ago, of some DPRK officials going to the South to talk to ROK officials.
I consider that
unprecedented.
Right. I consider that a good sign, but it also indicated a split between various elites within the regime. And one of the big problems is if there's a split and there's a fight over the nuclear weapons, that would be a huge problem. So that brings up the kill chain business about South Korea. And South Korea has said it not only will, if it's attacked, take out where the attack comes from, but also the command and control from that had been directing the launch. And that's should be a major deterrent to the North, Elaine.
Where do you see U.S.-ROK relations at this point?
I see U.S.-ROK relations on an upswing, with the exception that the Russians are providing missiles to South Korea and to North Korea. Ballistic as well as other kinds of missiles are going from Moscow into Seoul and to Pyongyang. It's amazing how Russia's on both sides of this equation. But I think the Russians really don't want an implosion along the Chinese border. China doesn't want that implosion of North Korea along the border with refugees flowing across. It's in no one's interest.
All right, Raymond Tanter, as always, we appreciate your time and perspective. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.